Hi, BookTube. I'm Alison Law. I'm an independent publicist, marketing, and media consultant based in Atlanta, Georgia, where I've lived for the past almost 18 years. I also host a weekly podcast called Literary Atlanta, in which I interview authors who are resident in our great city, who are tied to this region or this location through their subject matter or their work, or they're just visiting us on book tour. Because here's the thing you need to know. There are no fewer than 3 or 4 book and author events happening in the metro Atlanta area every week. And one of the goals of the Literary Atlanta podcast is to let people know about these events ahead of time so that they can go and meet the author and listen to that person talk about their work and really engage with them, because I think it does something when you experience a book and learn about the story behind the book and you learn about the author a little bit. I think it transforms the read for you. And so I really want people to take advantage of the fact that we have so many fantastic, best-selling, internationally known authors who are here in Atlanta on a regular basis. Why am I on BookTube? Well, I wanted to add some visual video elements to what we're already producing for the Literary Atlanta podcast in audio only format. And we established our YouTube channel, the Literary Atlanta podcast YouTube channel. And we've set it up with our hosting provider so that every time we post a new episode of the Literary Atlanta podcast, it automatically populates our YouTube channel. So you will be able to find, I think, 3 or 4 of our recent episodes on this YouTube channel, and you can listen to them on YouTube. You can listen to the episodes on any of the podcast platforms that you prefer. We're on Apple Podcast or iTunes, as we've been calling it since the good old days. Stitcher, Google Play. So there are a variety of ways. We also embed the player in each post that we create on our website at literaryatlanta.com. So you can go to literaryatlanta.com and find the latest post and click on it, and you'll find an embeddable player. That's how my mom listens to it. That's how she listens to the podcast. She's not a podcast listener, so she'll go and listen to the episodes on our website. So that is a little bit of an introduction. We started, our first episode aired, if you will, on August the 3rd. We recorded a number of interviews with authors who were going to be appearing at the 2017 AJC Decatur Book Festival, which takes place in Decatur on the outskirts of Atlanta every year, Labor Day weekend. It means that we're also getting close to the 2018 AJC Decatur Book Festival, and we're going to be gearing up to talk to authors who are coming to the festival this Labor Day weekend. I think Labor Day weekend hits September 1st through the 2nd this year, so we will start working on interviews for that in the next couple of weeks. The lineup, the press launch for the AJC Decatur Book Festival happens in Decatur on June 11th. So we're about a week away from knowing the authors who have been so far confirmed for the festival. If you want to learn more about the Decatur Book Festival, which is one of the largest independent book festivals in the country, please visit decaturbookfestival.com. I am just back and recovering from 5 days in New York City. I was there to attend Book Expo, which is the largest trade publishing event in the country, maybe even in the world. I don't know. I might have to check my statistics. Might be a little bit hyperbolic, but I was there for all of the excitement and to reconnect with some of my friends who go every year, and to meet people in person whom I've only had an opportunity to connect with via email and phone before, or social media before. So it's always nice to be able to meet someone in person. It's the strangest phenomenon now that we kind of have a daily entree into people's personal and professional lives through social media. So we're aware of the fact that their daughter just graduated from high school last weekend and they threw a big party, but we've never been in the same room with them before. So anyhow, I think it's kind of nice because, especially with book people, we're all kind of introverts, and social media allows us to warm up. And instead of having a completely cold conversation, you can go in knowing some facts and some discussion points with people. So it's not too strange. This week is working on number 1, getting the next episode of the Literary Atlanta podcast ready to go. That is going to be coming out tomorrow, Tuesday, June 5th. It features an interview with Hannah Petard, whose 3rd novel is called Visible Empire. If you were listening or had a chance to download episode 40, which is the most recent episode of the podcast, then you inevitably heard me talking about Visible Empire with Kyle Tibbs-Jones and Chuck Reese of the online publication The Bitter Southerner. Visible Empire was one of the books that we featured on The Bitter Southerner's 2018 Summer Reading Roundup list. If you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, please go and download and listen to it now. You can also find it, just like I was telling you before, you can find an embeddable version of it on the Bitter Southerner's website. Thebittersoutherner.com is their homepage, and then you can look for Summer Reading Roundup 2018. So the book Visible Empire comes out tomorrow, Tuesday, June 5th, and the book launch party happens in Atlanta, which is where the book is set. Hannah Petard is an Atlanta native. She spent, I think, the first 12 years of her life, I'll have to go back and listen to the episode, in Atlanta before she went away to boarding school. She now lives in Lexington, Kentucky, and teaches creative writing at the University of Kentucky. And this is an interesting book. She doesn't really classify it as historical fiction, but it takes place in 1962 in Atlanta, and it is dealing with her fictional take on the people who were left behind after more than 100 people were killed in a plane crash in Orly, France. Now, the people who died in this plane crash were of the 1%. They were some of the wealthiest arts patrons in the city of Atlanta. And that jumping off point kind of provides what Hannah imagines the people left behind would be doing in the days and the few weeks following that plane crash. So Visible Empire, that is coming up on the next episode of the Literary Atlanta podcast. We do have some other episodes that are already in the can, interviews that we've already recorded and that I'm woefully behind on getting edited and released as a result of the fact that I've been traveling these past few weeks. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. But just know that sometimes we feature writing that isn't book writing. It's writing for other podcasts that we love. I will be posting later about the books that I picked up at Book Expo, the ones that I'm looking forward to. Book Expo is really a preview of the titles that are going to be hot from fall and early winter 2019. So we'll be looking ahead to those titles, and I'll be talking about some of those. And I'm also going to do a little bit of a book mail thing here. The problem with the Literary Atlanta podcast, and it's not a problem, it's just a side effect of our platform, we're really trying to focus on those books that have some kind of tie to this geographic area, to Atlanta, hence Literary Atlanta. But what that does is it makes it hard for me to consider books that don't meet that criteria. And because we're only recording and releasing one episode a week, Although there have been a couple of instances where we've had to catch up and feature a couple of different episodes in 1 week, we're still limited because we do, like I said, have a number of events every week. And it's just impossible for me to be able to record interviews with everyone who is coming here on book tour and to make my way through the long, long list of wonderful, talented writers and journalists that we have here in Atlanta. So I'm going to try to supplement what we do with our full episodes of the podcast with quick videos here or quick post on the literaryatlanta.com website talking about some of the books that I've received and have been reading about. So look for those here. As always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching, since this is our first video. If you have any feedback, please leave it in the comments below. And you can always email me. The email address for Literary Atlanta is literaryatlanta@gmail.com. And on social media, here's another side note. If you follow me on social media, that's where you're going to get most of the current, up-to-the-minute, meandering updates. That's going to be at Alison. Alison has one L, Alison, Law, Law. And on Instagram, which is where I like to hang out the most, my handle is at Alison Law, ATL. Those are going to be more current and have more updates than the social media accounts that I've set up for the Literary Atlanta podcast. And the reasoning behind that is because if you've spent any time on social media, you know it takes a while to build up an audience and a following on a specific account. So while I've gone in and I have reserved that real estate, and I have been posting and following a little bit on our Twitter account, which is at Literary ATL, and then the Instagram account is at Literary Atlanta. And we have a Facebook page too, which you should go and like. We do have some pretty engaged followers there, and I am trying to post there more often. You can do that by searching facebook.com/Literary Atlanta. I would suggest that you follow both if you're so inclined. But just know that that is the backstory, if you will, behind that, because I'm trying to grow those social media accounts. And in the meantime, I want as many people as are following me, as have been connecting with me over the past 10 years that I've been using social media, to get that information. So you can find it either by looking for Alison Law in Atlanta or looking for Literary Atlanta. Thank you again.